Hey guys, it's Ankit Kumar and welcome to my YouTube channel Tech Talks with AK. In the series of data structures with JavaScript, today is the third video and the topic is prototype object in JavaScript. So this concept, prototype object, is the concept that we need to cover before we begin coding our linked list. Before starting prototype object, let's see what we have covered in previous video. In previous video, we covered constructor function in JavaScript and how to use this keyword with constructor functions in JavaScript. If you haven't gone through that video, please find the link from the eye icon on the top right. Watch that video and come back to continue this video from here. So let's start this video. The prototype object is simply an object that multiple other objects can refer to get any information or functionality that they need. For our needs, each of our constructor function will have a prototype that all their instances will be able to refer to. So let's clarify what this means by doing a couple of examples. If we take our user constructor function, we can put properties onto its prototype that all of our user instances like user1 and user300 will have access to and will be able to use. Let's put a property on our user prototype and see what happens. To put a property on the user prototype, we will type user.prototype and property name, let's say email domain. Let's say Instagram wants everybody to have an instagram.com email address. So we will say @instagram.com. So we have just added email domain property on our user constructor function. So now let's check our user1 object again. We can see that it does not have any email domain property that we just added here. If we go deeper into user1's object and look at its dunder proto, which is object right here, we can see email domain here and which is set by us here @instagram.com. Now, just to clarify, the dunder proto object and the prototype object that we actually put email domain property on up here are not exactly the same, but they are very similar. Basically, anything that we put on the constructor function prototype like this, we will have access to dunder proto of any of the object that we will create with that constructor function. So if we put email domain on the constructor function prototype like we have done here, we will have access to its own user1 dunder proto, user300 dunder proto, and dunder protos of any other user instance that we create using this constructor function. Okay, now back to this email domain property. So we put the email domain property on the user prototype and we can see that we don't have this user property on user300 here, but we have the property on the user300 dunder proto. So we have email domain @instagram here on dunder proto of user300. So if we type user300 dot email domain, it gives us the value of email domain, which is instagram @instagram.com. So that's how the prototype object works. If we put a property on the constructor function prototype, all of the instances of the constructor function will have access to that property. Like here, user1 and user300 have access to the email domain property. Exactly, same thing goes for any method or functions that we might want all of our instances to have. So for example, if I want all of our user instances to have get email address method, I can put it on prototype of the constructor function, which is what I will do now. So I put user.prototype dot get email address equals to function, and I will have this method returns to first name. So this dot first name plus this dot last name plus this dot email domain we just put on the prototype. Now both user1 and user300 should have this method on their prototype. So let's check it out. So we put user1 and it should have get email address on its dunder proto. Yes, it has. Let's check it out for 300 as well. So on 300 also it has on then the proto get email address. Now let's get email address of user 300. So we type user 300 dot get email address and press enter. It returns divyasingla@instagram.com. So let's test it for user 1 as well. So user 1 dot get email address, it should provide ankitkumar@instagram.com. It creates for me user 300's email address, which is divyasingla@instagram.com, and user 1's email address, which is ankitkumar@instagram.com. Okay, great. So that's how we use prototype object with a constructor function in JavaScript. So if we want our constructor function instances to have a property that is same for all of them, or we want to have a method which is same for all of our users object, we put it on prototype instead of constructor function itself to keep the instances more clean and cleaner. Great. So that is all background information that we need to know to get started with coding our linked list in the next video. That's all for this video, guys. Let's meet in the next video with coding our linked list in JavaScript. If you find this video useful, please like it, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to get notified about more technical interesting videos from Tech Talks with AK. If you have any question, any suggestion, or any feedback to improve my video, please write down below in the comment box. Let's meet in the next video with coding linked list. Thank you.